I honestly can't remember a time when Sony's PlayStation brand has felt this off. Since the PlayStation 1 era, Sony has been a dominant force in the gaming world, releasing hit after hit and setting a standard for high-quality, narrative-driven first-party games. But something about the PlayStation 5 generation feels different, like it's been stumbling in slow motion, and now we're starting to see those missteps catching up with them. So, how did we get here? How did Sony go from dominating with God of War, Spider-Man, and The Last of Us, to launching games that disappear within weeks, and hyping up projects that end up feeling half-baked at best? Let's talk about it. A lot of this shift traces back to the Jim Ryan era, and by extension, Herman Hulst. These two were huge advocates for turning PlayStation into a platform that thrived on games as a service, GaaS. At one point, reports suggested Sony had 10 to 12 live service games in development for PS5. That's a massive pivot from what made PlayStation unique, narrative-driven single-player excellence, to chasing that recurring revenue model. And the thing about live service games? They're high risk, high reward. For every Fortnite or Destiny, there's a graveyard of failed titles that never broke through and quietly got shut down after burning a ton of money. We've already seen the fruits of this strategy, and it hasn't been encouraging. Let's start with Concord. This was supposed to be one of PlayStation's big live service plays. Instead, it landed with a thud. Forget the polarizing characters for a moment. The real issue was the gameplay. It brought absolutely nothing new to the table. It felt like a clone of a dozen other games, some of which are free. Sony charged $40 for Concord. It launched, flopped, disappeared like a fart in the wind, and the studio behind it, Firewalk Studios, was shut down. This was a studio Sony had invested in heavily, thinking they were creating the next big thing. Instead, they got burned. But let's move to the bigger problems. Marathon and Fairgame. These are two in-house, first-party games that were supposed to represent the next wave of PlayStation's future. And now, they look more like cautionary tales. Marathon, Bungie's identity crisis. Marathon is a weird case. It's being developed by Bungie, who Sony acquired with the idea of leveraging their live service experience. But from day one, Marathon felt hollow. It's technically a reboot of Bungie's old PC IP, but there's nothing connecting the new game to the original beyond the name. Then came the controversy. Bungie was accused of ripping off an artist's concept work from Twitter, even down to a meme the artist had embedded. The studio claimed it was just one rogue employee and that they had been dealt with. But really? Your whole art department followed this artist, used their style, and no one noticed? Come on, that's not a rogue employee, that's a failure of internal checks across the board. And now we're hearing that Sony has pulled all paid marketing for Marathon. That's a big red flag. Either the game is getting quietly delayed and restructured, or they're going to try and stealth drop it with no marketing, hoping for a miracle. From the limited gameplay we've seen, Marathon looks fine. The gunplay seems solid, but the minimalistic art style feels uninspired. It doesn't scream PlayStation prestige. Fairgame Haven's empty hype. Then there's Fairgame, from Haven Studios, led by Jade Raymond. Now, I respect Jade's early work on Assassin's Creed, but let's be real, she hasn't shipped a game in over a decade. And this project? It's been a mess. The concept is kind of interesting. A Payday-style heist game, mixed with PvP and extraction shooter elements. But the execution? Instead of gritty criminals, we get these hipster Robin Hood types pulling off heists for the people. It feels tone-deaf, especially coming from a billion-dollar company. And now Jade Raymond is gone. Left the studio. That raises serious questions. Why would the studio head walk away before the game is even out? That doesn't scream confidence. Some playtests have reportedly gone badly, and the buzz around the game is almost non-existent. It's starting to look like another Concord waiting to happen. Sony's financials may look good on paper. Record gross profits, big returns. But let's not confuse that with creative health. These GaaS projects aren't cheap. Marathon, Fairgame, and Concord all cost real money and real time, and so far the return has been minimal or non-existent. More importantly, they cost us time. Time that could have been spent making new single-player hits. Factions 2 was killed off so Marathon could live. And for what? The good news? There are some bright spots on the horizon. Ghost of Tsushima 2, or Ghost of Yoi, looks fantastic. And there are rumors of a big June PlayStation showcase, which could give us a clearer picture of what's next. But let's be real. The PS5 has felt underwhelming if you're only here for Sony's first-party output. The experiences I've enjoyed, Miles Morales, Ratchet & Clank, Astro's Playroom, were all years ago. And lately, it's been mostly third-party games carrying the platform. PlayStation is lucky that Xbox has been fumbling its own messaging and console sales. If Xbox had delivered stronger exclusives this generation, Sony might be in a much more precarious position. Course-correcting from this live service obsession isn't something Sony can fix overnight. These games take years to build and years more to market and release. If they're shifting back to their roots, we won't see the results until late PS5 generation, or maybe even PS6. Until then, we have to call it like it is. The PlayStation brand is in a weird place right now, and unless Sony gets back to doing what they do best, creating incredible, meaningful single-player stories, they risk alienating the very fairy fans that built them up in the first place. Anyway, that's my rant. Let me know in the comments. Do you think PlayStation can course-correct in time? Do Marathon or Fairgame dolls have any chance of success? Or are they just more names on a growing list of failed experiments? Thanks for watching, and as always, I'll catch you in the next one.